Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Michael Rollins Show. This is a show where I interview people in the FPV industry about the FPV industry. So if you'd like to find out more about the people, this is where you should be. This week, I'm talking to Bob Roogi. This is the third episode in Bob Roogi's. It is also the last. In this episode, we talk about just kind of a grab bag of things. We talk a little bit more about China. We talk about some X-Class stuff. There's just Bob is a really fun guy to talk to because he has a lot of thoughts about a lot of things. We also talk about Bob's impact on the FPV hobby in general. And contrary to what I think a lot of folks would think, he demurs about his actual effect on FPV, even though I think that regardless of the circumstances, he did have a pretty major effect on large parts of FPV. If you like what I do, subscribe, like, that really does make a difference for the channel. And if you really like what I do, then sign up for my Patreon. Patrons get unedited interviews way before they drop, and they also get a podcast version of this. I want to make a little note about sound. The sound was really tough on this one, and there's a lot of reasons for that. This episode, I did try to recover the sound a little bit, took it into a different program and tried to master it. I'm just not super strong at sound. I do apologize. In the future, I'm going to be using different tools to record the episodes, which will give me multiple tracks and hopefully higher definition. So stay tuned. What I will say is that I've already filmed 2 more interviews with StreamYard, and I will likely be leaving StreamYard. Thank you for what you guys do. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoy it, and I will catch you on the flip side.
Again, because we literally just blasted through
a decade.
A decade of innovation, right? And it's interesting because I almost never hear you talk about like you just talked about, the amazingness of those first flights, right? You about how like you reached this moment where everything clicked and then you exploded and you went back for more, right?
Yeah.
At what point though, because you have been super influential in changing the industry, man. Like that, and that's the thing that's very interesting to me because, and now keep in mind, just by saying that, I have now polarized my entire audience base. But I mean, you had, like you were talking about with the Hyperlight flight controller, that started a trend, right? The things moved towards that direction.
Maybe.
You talk about the 4-in-1 ESCs, the minimal frames.
Yeah, maybe. And I say maybe because, again, we're discounting the influence of China and the manufacturers. So they are looking for marketing, free marketing. That's how they function. We have done it to them. They're not copycats of their own volition. We have caused them to do that because it makes the most sense. If the tables were turned, we would do the same damn thing. They're not doing anything wrong. It's just we perceive it as bad, and it's our faults that we have caused them to need to do this because we've handed over all the manufacturing to them. Mm-hmm. So, while it may look like I was very influential, what happened was I just had the industry's eye at that moment, and whatever I would have done would have just gotten ripped off and copied and duplicated over and over and over by everybody. And not just Westerners or Western people, but they're not the ones to fear because they need to have marketing. Mm-hmm. You have to have marketing for it to work. Mm-hmm. China has product and marketing because they just take the marketing for free. So that's why it may have become as popular as it did. It wasn't necessarily me. I mean, I think I had some good ideas, but I could have had bad ideas. Maybe we could have been in a better place if I had different ideas or if I wasn't in the eye of the industry at the time. Mm-hmm. It's still happening today. Anybody that gains any degree of popularity gets swooped up under the China wing. And I was just talking to somebody earlier today about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Banggood contacted me and they want to stock my frame." And I'm like, "It's been 7 or 8 years, and I've never found a Banggood like purchasing manager. If this is true, sell all of them. Sell as many as you can to them because they're just going to rip you off. But in reality, what they probably want you to do is just review some videos and use your influence to make them have more business. Like that's how they work, which I don't blame them for, but it's just unfortunate for us.
So where is FPV without China as the primary manufacturer?
It's not. There is no FPV without China. It's just that it's like one step at a time moving, and it can't move quickly because there's no one entity that has enough market share to actually do more. Like DJI gave us the biggest innovation, which is the video. And if granted, FatShark didn't do jack shit for all those years, but they could have. They had 100% market share. And that's why I'm personally so angry at them, because they sat on their ass and did nothing at all. And I don't even see them as like BlackBerry or Windows Mobile or anything like that. Those companies were deluded and delusional. FatShark wasn't delusional. They purposely just sat on their ass and made money. Like they did nothing.
They didn't have to move.
They didn't have any competition, so they didn't have to do anything. And while that's totally cool, it's also just like stupid. It's like, it's disgusting. It's like, okay, if you had any interest in this, you would want to progress it for yourself, for your own good. Like that's who I would want to buy a product from, but we don't have any other options. And it's annoying that that's what it was. So that will also stagnated all development. And then DJI came along, took the market. They could have absolutely have toppled DJI. They could have had a better product than DJI ever had. And there was products already being made at 5, 6, 7 years before DJI. But FatShark refused. They didn't care. Like, why? Why do we need to do anything? And so they just handed the market over to DJI. I thank DJI a lot. I appreciate them tremendously. But at the end of the day, it's frustrating to have even given $1 to FatShark when that's their attitude towards the market. Yeah. Then again, that's also a very modern idea because business is always about trying to have income. And only more recently, we want to be part of the development, the Kickstarter kind of mentality. And we want to see how things are developing. We want to see what's improving. And that's the stance that Tesla takes. And that's why they're doing so well, because their marketing is literally development. Like the more they development, the better the marketing goes. They don't need to market because that is their marketing. And that's the kind of the same stance that I try to take is I just want to see stuff get better. I just want to get to the next level. And so along the way, I'm happy to make product to try and gain market share and keep the train moving.
What do you think, like, as you look back, and not in recent time, but pretty far back, what do you think the most influential technological change was back then?
Base flight. Absolutely. Without an exception. Well, I mean, when Nintendo came out with the Wii controller, that was the most influential, of course. Sure. But like after that, base flight, beta flight, all the code that actually worked, absolutely 100%. And so, yeah, that comes from open source, but it also stopped.
What do you mean?
Like it stopped. It got a lot better, and it's just like stagnates, and now it's just totally stagnated. Nothing's really changed. Nothing's really improved. Nothing's really gotten better since version 3.5.
But is that because the step changes now? Like basically, we've cut all the branches off. We cut all the low hanging branches off, right?
Yeah.
Like they're all gone now.
Right, and now it actually takes real development to continue. Yeah. And so Betaflight has no income, has no money, has no reason, and like China doesn't pay Betaflight; they just steal Betaflight. They just take it.
apparently.
So they got nothing. And so it's hard to get people to move into that level where you need collaboration, you need to push for development. And it takes more than just hodgepodge of people working together randomly. You got to like actually be dedicated to it and like work at it, do research, figure out how to continue forward. I mean, it's not impossible for another company to pick up and do this, but the market is so difficult to manage and difficult to read that you just can't. It's too hard. It's a bad business plan. No one's going to finance that.
Do you think
and so base flight for sure, and the flight code for sure, I would say, is the biggest advancement. Like motors haven't really changed all that. I mean, it's the same motor. It's gotten refined, but it's the same motor. Carbon is carbon. Props have gotten a lot better, but they worked back then too. Like nothing else really makes that big of a difference other than baseline. I mean, even the old analog cameras, even the lenses we had back then are fine. VTXs sucked, but they still suck today. So DJI is where we go. Yeah. And so the code is really what makes all the difference.
So here's the thing that I occasionally come back to, which is, I lived my job for a long time was in mobile, right? And I remember watching mobile, and I remember watching it, take off, and everybody really grabbed hold of it. And, you had the initial introduction of the iPhone, and then you had the Google phone that was built by, I can't remember who. And then for a while it was chaos because everybody, Samsung, LG, all these people were releasing the new phones, right? There was Windows Phone, BlackBerry tried to make a comeback, and you had Nokia over in the background. That was insane, And then eventually, after a little while, it pretty much all solidified until there's like three players. All right, you've got Apple, obviously. They were the most like focused out of everybody. You've got Samsung, which is some weird hybrid between like Apple and a giant manufacturing company. And you've got Google, who builds Android but doesn't really sell the. I don't know.
Well, Google has the best business plan by far because they built Android as something free and open source, and they gain all of that market share by giving it free.
Yeah. Well, so you are the product, though. I mean, it's literally
right. Well, that's right. That's what Google does that Betaflight doesn't do.
Yeah.
So if there were ads in Betaflight, maybe they'd make some money.
No. We need to collect the flight recorder data. We need everybody to upload their black box all the time. Oh, wait, sorry. Red Cat already did that. They did not, ladies and gentlemen. One of the things that, all right. So here's the perspective of the mobile industry. Something very similar happened to the computer industry a long time ago. But now I feel like I would have expected less chaos, right? Like, sure, are there fewer retail shops? Yes, there are. It's harder to sell. But there's still, like, I mean, I haven't really shopped for much recently, but I did the other day, and I was like, my God, why are there 80 different flight controllers? Like, why? I mean, is China injecting that chaos into it because they can just clone and make? And do you think that is a hamstringing effect?
No, I can tell you exactly why. Because it's cheaper to just make a batch of your own than it is to buy somebody else's batch, because you have to pay that other person then. So you're like, why should I bother paying you 30% when I could just make a batch of my own? I have the money. It doesn't cost that much. So that's what people do. So that's why you have 100 different flight controllers, because everybody can make their own. You just have to find the manufacturer, pay them, come up with the features, and then do the marketing. So that's why.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue with our industry, is that it doesn't pay to be a wholesaler.
Wholesaler.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of small manufacturers have just left the industry because they're not manufacturers, like middlemen, like designers, basically, because you can design and engineer a product and then get it manufactured, but then you have to sell that product to retailers because you don't want to have a retail operation, and that's the real hangup. And there's just no money in it. Like you have to have such a massive market share to make it worthwhile. It's just there's no point. And even as a retailer, it doesn't make sense either because like I'll just make it myself. Like my own store branded products have such a bigger margin on them. Why would I waste money carrying somebody else's product when I could just use that money to make more of my own product? So that's the issue.
So what do you, I mean, so we've gone through this crazy cycle of chaos. There was the hype cycle, and then things settled down. There was some consolidation, not as much as I would have expected. Where do you think the next innovations will be?
The X class for sure.
X-Class.
The cinema crafts, absolutely, no question. Oh wait, 5 inches is pretty much maximized until we get a little bit. We need a little bit more code, and I think the code will get better. And I think that people are trying to make stuff that's more automated in the tuning department. It's just still really difficult to get like the perfect tune, but you can get it really close without too much effort, which is really all I do. I don't really need more than that. Emu Flight has done more work in that front than anything because with almost no effort, you can get anything to fly pretty damn decently, which is just phenomenal. Plus the rates, the dynamic rates kind of pick up the rest of the slack. So you can kind of tune your craft for what you're going to be doing, racing, fun fly, cinema, whatever you want. So that's really, really nice. But once we get those aspects, we really need to kind of refine our the cinema crafts. Yeah, the big ones. Those are the issues. Like to get those big things to fly as sharp and as nice and as reliably as a 5-inch. That's really the next challenge. And well, it's really not going to end anytime soon because camera companies haven't recognized FPV yet. So they haven't built cameras for FPV. Yeah, so frames and designs and everything that we do is still in massive flux because the camera companies will, like I was just talking to Sony like a couple months ago, they will eventually recognize FPV and start making products for FPV, and then it'll actually get interesting because the craft will be optimized for the purpose. And then we can start doing much crazier things. Like we can fly the full X8, 8-inch, 9-inch, whatever, in situations that you could probably do with a 5-inch as well. Like you can get like a real nice tight package and you have all the power, tons of performance, and you could do what you want to do with it. So it's going to get very interesting. And I don't know if like X Games is going to adopt a cinema craft because that seems like a liability, flying a massive 10-pound, 8-pound craft around. But I still don't understand why like sports X Games and sports games like that haven't adopted like a fleet of 5-inch quads just to get marketing footage. Okay, like there really should be like a series of pilots at every event.
What's interesting is that motorsports seems to be doing that.
Yeah, more than X Games or skateboards or biking or anything like that. Right, right. But that's also, they have a lot of budget. So they'll bring that on board and then they get really wowed by the footage, but then they don't use it. Like I have yet to see a commercial where there's like FPV NASCAR or something. But I just saw Beverly Hills Aerials was using the Catalyst Machine Works at NASCAR, and they were chasing NASCARs drifting around and burning out. And it was like, I want to see the footage because it looked so good that I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that footage. But yeah, but Johnny's recent video with the Porsche was
the Porsche, man.
I mean that if that doesn't win awards, I mean it's got to, like, that's incredible. Everything about that was beyond incredible.
I watched 15 seconds. I don't even know if it's longer than that. And I was just floored. Like
there's like, it's a 3 minute, like 2-3 minute video.
So the little bit that I watched, obviously Johnny's flying is fantastic. It always is. Or at least we only see fantastic flying. But the editing was amazing too. And like the one shot that really sticks out is when they go from the Porsche on the
desert to the
dirt
snow
track into the snow. And I like had to watch it again because I was like, how did
they plan the shots?
How did
and
they do
executed
that?
the shots almost exactly right.
I can't.
Crazy.
My mind was just bent because it's not like it doesn't feel like we were close enough. I mean, like it just so
it feels
seamless.
Perfect.
It was so seamless that I didn't even realize what had happened.
Yeah.
Until I thought back a second. Like
it's crazy.
So, well, thank you, Mr. Roogi, Dr. Roogi, as we can call you. I hope that this was good for you. I definitely enjoyed your trip down memory lane. Cause I feel like it is going to be very different because I feel like, your journey through FPV has had a lot to do. Hi, kitty cat. Hi, kitty kitty. What's cat's name?
It's Chloe, and my girlfriend cut its mane. See all the hair is cut?
Oh no.
because when she eats or licks herself, the hair gets stuck in her mouth. So we have to cut her mane.
What kind of cat is she?
It's a calico cat. It's just a basic calico cat. It's just very cute. It's 12 years old.
Oh, she's very sweet. She'd probably kill me, but she's very sweet. I'm definitely.
Oh, I always think it's planning to kill me. Always scheming.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for showing us your cat. Always good to talk to you, Bob.
You too.
All right, buddy.
Your setup is looking. Did you like paint your windows black and then start like sealing off all the light leaks?
No, it's a wall.
But it looks so dark.
Well, it is dark outside.
That's
no, but the wall's painted black. I mean, the wall is literally painted black. And then and this wall right here is painted black. This one is still wood colored, and this one is not black, and it's probably going to be black very soon.
Well, you need to get some purple and blue lights because that's the thing to do.
I think I'll maybe
purple, blue, red. That's what everybody does now.
Yeah, no, I happen to like the orange lights back there. I was joking with someone saying I was gonna like have my colors become orange and black, and they go, "Nah, man, Power Drone's already got that." Damn you, Surge. So awesome, man. Well, dude, it's fantastic having you on. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been on the Michael Rollins Show with Bob Roogi, the one and only, a man who has possibly single-handedly changed FPV several times, but maybe he didn't. We don't really know. But thank you for coming along, and we hope that you'll pick us up next time. Bye.
Well, that's it. That's the end of Bob Roogi's interview. I do always enjoy talking to Dr. Roogi, as he's a great thinker, and he's willing to admit when he gets it wrong and always interested to make it better. One of the funny things about Bob is periodically I'll message him. I'll be like, "Hey man, I want to do this. What should I get from your store?" And without fail, he says, "Well, I'm improving it, and what you should actually do is wait." Bob is a terrible salesman. However, the things he does, the innovation that he brings, I enjoy, and I think that it is a really good thing. Anyways, thank you for coming along. If you like what I do, like, subscribe, comment, share. That'd be great. That really does help the channel. If you really like what I do, subscribe to my Patreon. Patrons get the unedited interviews. They also get a podcast version. So anyways, thank you all for coming along, and I will talk to you later. Bye.